There we go. All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Eddie Live Podcast, episode number 301. I am here with, I didn't even ask your name, but Letícia Teixeira, right?
Yes.
Yes, of course. You got to learn the names. Come on, let's go. Beautiful. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So the first time I met you, I think you're probably like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was my first Dragon's Chamber.
Yes.
And
it was
like,
also my first Dragon Chambers.
your first,
yes.
right? And I was like, oh, I forgot my water. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need water. And you went and got me water. So that's pretty amazing. I appreciate it. I still remember that. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So cheers. And now I can buy you a margarita and some dinner.
Yes.
And have a nice chat.
Thank you.
Here we go. Lucas, what's up, my man? How you doing, brother? Drop some comments. How's the audio, man? How's the audio? I haven't had anyone to check it yet. Let me know how the audio is. Okay. Boom. So let's start. So what brought you to Taiwan? That's always everybody's first question, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
of course. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, so it started all because I wanted to become an exchange student. And that was actually my second exchange student year.
Okay.
I was an exchange student when I was 15 years old. I went to the United States,
Okay.
which is a pretty young age for you to
Wow.
go abroad, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But after that, I realized that I wanted to be an exchange student again. And so at that time, I joined an association that is called Rotary International.
Oh, God,
Do you know
I've
them?
heard of it, of course.
Yeah, they're like an international organization that they do a lot of things, including community service.
Okay.
But they also have exchange programs for young people, for like high school students. And so I joined them. And in order for you to become an exchange student, you have to go through a procedure. So that includes like taking tests, exams, and like because they have to make sure that you can, for example, speak English and that you're not gonna like just just go have fun in another country and stuff. So you go through interviews.
Spring break and, or something. Yeah. Okay.
So you go through like interviews and you go through exams and tests and all that stuff, and then they rank you according to your grade.
Okay. Beautiful.
And then it is according to that ranking that you're able to choose the country that you can go. In my experience, like the reason why I joined it was because I originally wanted to go to France.
Oh wow.
But the thing is that France was very competitive, and so I would need like a very high grade. And I actually got a very high grade. I was ranked like top second on like overall. And so in theory, I should be able to go anywhere in the world. Even if I wanted to go to like France or the US or anywhere, I should be able to because my grade was good. But it turns out that I was not able to go because I was too old to go.
Too old
which
at 15.
is very funny, yes.
Too
which
old
is
at
very
age 15.
funny.
Interesting.
Yes, because actually at that time I was 18 because it was my second exchange. And exactly because this exchange is meant for high school students, I was considered old even though I was young.
Gotcha.
And so because of this reason, they told me that the only two countries that I could go was either Mexico
Oh, nice. Okay.
or Taiwan.
Okay.
And then I picked Taiwan.
Wow. Okay.
No offense to
No offense to
Mexicans.
Mexico. No, that's okay.
But, yeah, and then I picked Taiwan.
That's amazing.
And that's how I originally got to Taiwan.
And so you were 18.
I was 18, yeah.
When you
I
came
had
to
just
Taiwan.
turned 18, yes.
Okay.
That was
and
first time.
okay. So keep the story going. Tell me. So you landed in Taiwan.
Yes.
You're 18. You were doing. Was that for university?
Yes,
or
yes.
How was the Rotary
yeah,
thing
so
work?
because this is a high school exchange program, you cannot go to college yet. And so what they do is they place you in like a local Taiwanese high school, and then you also get to attend Chinese classes. Which for me was very interesting because at that time I had just graduated from my Brazilian high school, and I still got to go to like high school here for one extra year.
Oh, that's cool.
Even though the grades don't really count because I had just graduated.
Okay.
But it was such an interesting experience, I would say, because I've been to high school in Brazil, I've been to high school in the US, but definitely high school in Taiwan can also be very different.
I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it was a pretty nice experience. And I think that one thing that is kind of interesting to point out as well is that I didn't go to like any kind of high school. I went to a vocational high school.
Okay.
And I went to a farming vocational high school.
In Taiwan.
In Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
Meaning that we do have regular courses like chemistry, science.
Okay.
But we also have courses that teach you how to farm.
Okay.
And so I went to that school.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the differences? Tell me, like, Brazil high school, USA high school, and Taiwan high schools. Are there any similarities or differences?
There are similarities, but I would say that overall they're very different.
Okay.
So high schools in Brazil, you can divide them into being public or private. The public ones, they're not necessarily that good, being very honest, because they don't have enough funding from the government. And so a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of people, they're not able to like learn as much as people in private schools would be able to, and this is very unfair and very unfortunate. And of course, there are cases of public schools that are very good, but overall, this is not the case. And we do have private schools as well. For the private schools, they tend to be but much better. And so you do have a lot of subjects that you have to learn. And when I was in high school in Brazil, I remember that I learned a lot, but the con side to that is that I didn't have a lot of extracurricular activities.
Okay.
And so, like, for example, in the US, we used to have a lot of, for example, you can join sports. Yeah, sports, or you can do like I don't know, like student council, or you can even run for pageants, if you want to do it. Yeah.
And all the sports.
And that was something that I kind of missed when I was in Brazil, because it was all about learning, and learning is super important. Like I do believe the learning is super, I love learning myself, but sometimes I miss being able to do other things besides just studying.
Yeah.
Now, in the U.S., we also have curriculars, of course, but we do have a lot of extracurriculars, and so things that you do outside of work.
Yep.
And when I was in the U.S., I was a cheerleader.
Wow,
yes,
that's amazing.
And I was so happy.
That's great.
I was so happy.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was
is
one of my...
cheerleading a thing in Brazil or not really?
Yeah, that's why it was so special for me, because since I was young, I always knew that I wanted to go abroad. And and my first dream was to go to the U.S., but another dream that I have within the U.S. was to be a cheerleader. Like, I always thought it was so cool. Like, imagine, I used to watch these American movies and see like the life of like,
stuff, right?
and I'd be like, oh man, I want that to be me so bad. So, and it became me at some point, because I was able to be a cheerleader, and I was also part of the softball team, and I did volleyball as well. And so it was very interesting. Now, high school in Taiwan, I think we do have some extracurriculars, but I don't think that they take it that seriously as they do in the U.S., because people still put a lot of emphasis on curriculars, and so learning stuff and getting good grades and everything. But it was also very special for me, especially for the part that it was a vocational high school. And so I got to have not only regular courses, but also like very different than what I am used to kind of courses. So they're all very different.
Okay, wow. So sports in Brazil though are quite popular, or is it just certain sports or all sports?
They are quite popular.
Of course, soccer, football, right?
And volleyball as well.
Volleyball
as well, yeah. They are quite popular, but they're not as encouraged within the school. And so we would have PE classes, but that's just it. So like once a week you would have PE classes. But like if you actually want to practice something as a volleyball or soccer, you would have to do it outside of school. And this is something that I really hope that my country can start investing more on, because a lot of talents actually come from Brazil, like sport-related talents come from Brazil. And if you read about the stories of these people, not all of them, but many of them actually were not encouraged when they were in school. It's just that they had like a very innate interest in that sport, and so they just like pursued it themselves, and that's how they became good at what they did. But I believe that Brazil as a country, we should really invest more on like encouraging people not only to study more, but also to practice more sports. Okay.
And so you went at a young age to the U.S. because your accent is like you're Brazilian, like you sound like American.
Really?
Like
Thank you.
You're Brazilian English accent. It's almost like 99% gone.
Thank you.
So did you work on that? That's interesting.
My accent myself?
Yeah. because you don't have an accent basically.
Really? No, I think I do.
Yeah, like there's a little bit here and there, but it's almost not there.
That's good. Well, I think myself, I've always been interested in languages in general, but of course the fact that I lived in the U.S., I think that made it way better.
Okay.
Yeah, the fact that you get to speak English every day with people, and everybody around you speaks English. Nobody speaks my mother tongue, which is actually Portuguese, and so it does force you to try to improve and become better.
Okay. And then now you also speak Chinese, right?
I do speak Chinese.
I'm not. So tell me about that.
I am not completely fluent in Chinese, and I think I will never be, because this is a very big goal.
Yeah.
But I am able to get around and do a majority of things by myself today. Yeah. And last year I was able to get my fluency certificate in Chinese as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I am.
Yeah. So, but that doesn't mean that I can understand everything. Yeah.
I know.
And like Chinese is such a ancient language, especially compared with other languages, and so. The fact that I have a certificate does not mean that I understand everything and that I am completely comfortable with speaking in it, because that's actually not the case. But it does mean that I have some kind of ability to communicate.
Okay. And so how do your parents feel about you have this little girl. She grows up. She's all over the world. At
Yeah.
like 15, she wants to go, to other countries
Yeah.
and stuff. How's that? Because Brazilian families, I think, similar to Mexico, is very tight, very
Yeah,
close knit,
definitely,
right?
definitely.
So tell me
Yeah.
about that.
I am the alien of my family. I've always been
love it.
the
I
alien
love
of
it.
my family. Yeah. Well, I think I'm very blessed to have the family that I have because both my father and my mother, but especially my mother, she has always encouraged me to live up to my best life. Like to
Nice.
really do my best all the time and to try my hardest in all the things that I do. And she just really believed in me. And I think that a lot of times, especially within parent and child relationships, I think we
Yeah.
oversee that a lot. We neglect that a lot. But
Yeah.
for your child, it is so important for your child to have their parents' support. It's so
Sure.
important. Like you
Yeah.
can really, your child can really do anything as long as you believe that she or he can do it. Like you
Okay.
have to give them that feeling that they're capable of doing. Then they themselves will start believing that they're capable of doing. And so, my point in all of that is that I had a mother that really believed in me since the beginning, and she always told me that I was able to do anything, and that even if I had big dreams, they would do as much as they could to try to support these dreams.
Beautiful.
And it turned out that I did have very big dreams, right?
Yeah, well, you're
bigger
in
than
Taiwan.
normal. Yes,
Yeah.
bigger than normal. But they always did their best to support me, and so I always did my part by getting scholarships, and they always did their part by working very hard and trying to support me financially as well. And
Beautiful.
so I'm very grateful for them.
Okay. And so you're in Taiwan. You're working now. Has the family been over to visit at all?
Yes, last year
Tell me about that.
on my graduation.
Okay,
Yes, because
yeah.
the first time that I went to Taiwan, that I came to Taiwan, I was an exchange student. But then after, I came here for college, and
Yep.
so I graduated with a degree in international business and trade last year. And so they came after 4 years, and
Beautiful.
it was such. It
What
was
did they
such an
think?
amazing time. It was such an amazing time, and like when they arrived, I had like this like big how do you say, like a big paper, like
Okay.
with their name, like welcome
yeah,
to
like a
Taiwan.
welcome. Yeah,
like
yeah.
a poster.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I had
yeah.
like a very big poster that said
Like in
welcome
the
to
movies
Taiwan.
where they hold the signs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, with a very
Okay.
big sign and like a Brazilian flag and a Taiwanese
Oh,
flag,
nice,
and
nice.
it was just so nice, and I got to show them around in Taiwan, and it's so interesting because when you live abroad, maybe you can relate to me as well.
Sure.
When you live abroad for a very long time, it's almost like there are different realities
I was gonna say
of
that.
you
Yeah,
know,
I was
like
gonna say that.
that there is
It's a different world
exactly.
completely,
It's
yeah.
like a multiverse of you.
Exactly.
So there
Yep.
is Letícia in Taiwan.
Yeah.
There's Letícia from Taiwan, and there's
Yes.
Letícia from Brazil.
Yes.
And Letícia from Taiwan know X amount of people, does X
Yeah.
number of stuff, and goes to X amount of places.
Yep.
And Letícia from Brazil also has these things, but
Yeah.
in very different scenarios. One is
Yeah.
Taiwan, the other one is Brazil, and so. It's very interesting to have almost like a character from another reality
I agree.
joining you in this
Yes.
reality, because they could only listen to my stories and hear about the things that I did here, but they could never actually see them with their own eyes, experience
I
that.
100% agree.
And so when they came, I got to show them the places that I used to go, like, oh yeah, this is my school. I have been going here for 4 years. Oh
Yep.
yeah, this is my great friend from Brazil or from the US, and this is who like I talk to,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, this place is like a restaurant that I love, and like this is the food that I have been eating, and it was just so meaningful and
Yeah.
enlightening. Yeah.
I agree with you 100% because, yeah, it's like I've been here for so long and like half my life and then half my life over there. And when I go back to Canada, my mom thinks I'm just a kid still, and I'm there and it's Friday night and I don't get to go back very much, but like my friends from high school, it's a really small town. They'll be like, hey, we're going to the bar, the things that you did when you're 20 or 19. But like I'm not even close to 20 or 19. So we go to the bar and it's kind of like the same people. They're all kind of sitting there and they're just like, hey, how's it going? You still living, up the hill? And I'm like, no, I left a while ago. And they're just like, oh, really? So it's a really small town and it's, I totally get it. So I've had my sister come visit, my brother and my mom. And it's kind of crazy. It's like, it's like a crossover of the multiverse.
Yeah,
right?
right?
It's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It's like these two people exist and then, this person doesn't come into this world. But when I couldn't imagine like one of my high school friends or something coming here would be crazy. Yeah, so once in a while, someone will come to visit that is maybe, a teacher or something like that, and it's always like, whoa, it's crazy for me.
It is.
Yeah, beautiful. So did you spend some time in China as well?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about China?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so the order of the facts is that I first came here as an exchange student,
Gotcha.
and then after that year, my Chinese was like okay, but I haven't gotten
Gotcha.
the fluency certificate yet.
Okay.
And so what I realized was that exactly because I wanted to study international business and trade at that point,
Yeah.
if I could speak Chinese and if I could become Chinese, for me it would be so beneficial.
Sure.
Because I could do like the trading between China and Brazil. Well,
Of course.
countries that speak Chinese and Brazil.
Yeah.
And of course, like if you compare the size of Taiwan and China, like the
course.
market of China is way bigger.
It's huge, of course.
Yes.
Of
And
course,
so I
yeah.
thought, okay, well, I do have a lot of familiarity with Chinese so far, but I'm not fluent in it yet.
How
And
old were you when you went there, just to kind of fit it into the story?
China, 19.
Yeah, 19. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
so
in the
18
middle
Taiwan
somewhere.
and then
Okay.
19 Taiwan.
Gotcha.
19 China.
Okay.
Does that remind you of something?
Yes,
19
yes.
China.
19 China, of course.
19
yeah.
China. COVID-19.
Of course, yes,
Yeah.
of
So it was.
course.
So that was exactly
Yeah.
what happened. But
Oh my gosh.
anyway, so I did went to China and I decided to start university there
Okay.
because I wanted to go to college there for two reasons. The first one was like you know
Young,
like
you wanna
the,
try it out, of
yeah the
course.
major and you know like I was closer and stuff. But the
Yeah.
second one was definitely the language because I wanted to like improve my Chinese and I wanted to learn simplified Chinese just so I could become
Yeah.
a bridge between China and Brazil
If
in the
you could do
future.
them both, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And so I went there and I was able to study there for one semester.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID-19 came because I was there in 2019.
That's tough.
And at that time I was living in Shanghai.
Okay.
And we had a lockdown and you know like
Whoa.
all of a sudden people like we didn't have classes anymore, like everything got canceled. And in the beginning it was almost like we were also living in another like universe because in the beginning nobody knew that COVID was going to become what it became.
Oh, it was so
right?
bad, yeah.
And especially when you were in China, we were the only country that had this issue going on.
Yep.
And so people kept telling you, it's going to get better. Just give it one more week. It's going to be over. We're going to be fine. Just give it 2 more weeks,
Yeah.
1 more month. And then time started to pass and the cases did not decrease. They started to increase even more. And I can tell, like, as a person that was living there was so frightening. It was terrifying.
Yeah,
it
I
was
can
really
imagine.
terrifying
Wow.
to live there. And then all of my classmates, they started to go back to their countries because everybody
Of
got
course.
everybody
People
was
get scared.
of course,
and don't know
yes.
what's happening.
And I'm pretty determined, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna stay because this is going to be over. I believe the government. Like, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for maybe longer than I
Okay.
should.
Okay,
But
okay.
at some point, of course, like we realized that it was not a good idea to stay
Yeah.
because we didn't know how long this was gonna take. And so I was forced to go back to Brazil.
Okay.
Now, after I got back to Brazil, what happened was that like China exploded in terms of like the pandemic and
Yeah.
everything got very bad. But then other countries also started to explode,
Yeah.
and Brazil became a very severe country in
Okay.
terms of COVID cases.
Okay.
And so for that year, I kind of got locked in Brazil. Like I was not able to go back to China or to go anywhere actually
Yeah.
because I don't know if you remember, but around 2019 they would like map countries and like separate them within colors, and so if you are like within
Yeah.
like a red region,
I
that
remember
means
that.
that like you cannot go
Yeah,
anywhere.
can't go anywhere, yeah.
And you know, like they had like red, yellow, and green, and Brazil was red for such a long time,
Okay.
and I couldn't go anywhere.
Gotcha.
Couldn't go anywhere.
Okay.
Couldn't go to any other country. I couldn't go back to China. And then at some point, I was like, yeah, I can't go back to China. I have to figure something else.
Yeah.
You know, like I have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I started like kind of like working in Brazil,
Okay.
and I did like an internship in Brazil for like the
Gotcha.
time that I stayed in Brazil.
Yeah, sure. You got to do something, right?
Yeah, of course. And so I did this internship, and I learned a lot. I did it within a pharmaceutical
Okay.
company, like medicine, and it taught me a lot. It was the first internship that I had in my whole life. It was very interesting. And then after like a very long time, and we were actually able to go out, that's when I decided that, okay, well, if I wanted, maybe I could go to China, but I think I still want to go to Taiwan. I miss
Gotcha.
Taiwan, and I have to start all over anyway, so let me just start all over in Taiwan because I
Okay.
had such good memories in Taiwan,
Mhm,
and that's
yep.
how I came back to Taiwan. Yes.
Okay. So were there like, coming here or any of the times that you came to Taiwan or what were there any culture shocks? Did you have any kind of culture shocks? Because it's a pretty different culture. There are some similarities, I think. Like the family's a big thing, right? Like when, for example, when I came to Taiwan, like I was born in Canada, but my family's Mexican, so we always went to Mexico. And I didn't have too much of a culture shock because in Mexico, there's like the night markets, the mercados and all that stuff,
right?
Night
markets in Mexico.
In Mexico, yeah,
really?
they're huge, and the street food and all that stuff. And so when I came here, I was like, oh, it's like Mexico. That's great. So I'm like, oh, this is. Of course, the language is different, but the food. It's like the night markets and stuff. I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. So there were a few culture shocks, but not so much for me.
Really?
So what about yourself?
I had culture shocks everywhere.
Okay.
I had culture shocks everywhere.
Going back to Brazil probably too? No?
As well. Now, yes.
Yeah.
Now, yes. But yeah, well, when I was in Brazil before I came to Taiwan, I didn't actually have a lot of information regarding Taiwan. I knew like the most basic information. So yeah, it's located in Asia, and the capital is this and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't really have a lot of knowledge, and so I didn't know what to expect. But yeah, there were many culture shocks. I would say that everything was a culture shock for me because the food, it's super different.
It's pretty different, yeah.
It's pretty different. And the food in Brazil normally is more dry. We don't have a lot of soups. And then here, a lot of the food, many of the foods have soups. And so it was very different. The way that you eat itself by chopsticks.
The chopsticks.
Yeah, I had to learn how to use chopsticks. And I know how I did it. I learned by picking up popcorn.
Oh, really?
When I was in Brazil.
So there's a tip for people. Okay,
Yeah, because I knew that I was going to come to Taiwan, so I would make popcorn and practice and fail all the time. But at some point, I literally picked it up. But yeah, and then so food, the way that you eat it, and then even the way that people dress. Very different. Yeah, the style. In Brazil, a lot of times people like to show more of their skin.
Oh,
and so you would see clothes that have just one strap here, but all this area is bare.
Okay.
A little bit like me.
Yeah.
A little bit like me. You see, you get out of Brazil, Brazil doesn't get out of you.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so you would have people that show more of their skin, and then when I came here, a lot of times people like to cover themselves more.
Okay.
Not all the time, and I think it also depends on the season.
Yeah.
But you do realize that the way that people dress is different, the style, the clothing, and then there's also the way that people think.
Tell me about that. Yeah. Because for me, I also feel like. So I always tell the same thing, but when I'm in Canada, everybody, my friends, everybody would know me as the Mexican guy, right? And then when I go to Mexico, I'm Canadian, for sure. They're like, you're not a real Mexican, you're Canadian, right?
I know, right?
And then it's like, oh my God. And then when I come here, I'm just a white American, right? So what about you? Yeah.
Well, they're both very different. I think one of the key points there, it's about how friendly people are.
Sure.
I would say that in both countries, people are friendly, but it also depends on the scenario that you meet them. And so within Brazil, I think people tend to be friendly with each other right away. So they don't need to know you that much to be friendly to you, and especially to try to help you.
Yeah.
I always tell people that one of the things that I'm very proud about being Brazilian is how empathetic we are with other people. I think Latinos in general, we tend to be very empathetic, right? And this is also the case for Brazil. And so I don't think that we need a lot of information about you or know a lot about you as a person to help you, to try to help you, to be willing to help you, And so, and I think that Taiwanese people are just as friendly, but I think it takes longer for them to open up exactly because they want to get to know him better. Yeah.
Taiwanese people, I think, are really friendly. My plan was to come here and then maybe go to Japan, and then maybe go to Korea and all that stuff. And I have visited Japan and Korea and some of the different, Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a great place here that I was like, I don't really want to leave here.
Mm-hmm.
And then my family would ask me, hey, when are you coming back home? And I'm like, it's kind of in a small town. It's a great town. I love it. I love my town. But I mean, it's such a good place here. It's a good opportunity and stuff. So, I actually, now that I've been here for so long, I actually get culture shock when I go home.
I know, right?
I feel like a weirdo, when I go back home. You go to the bar, and my town, it's a small town. People will talk about small town stuff sometimes.
I am from a small town as
well.
Are
you really?
Yes,
nice.
Yes.
And
80,000 people.
Town.
Yes.
How many?
80,000.
80,000. Okay, mine's 8,000. Yeah, so it's really small. Yeah. So you go into the bar and you're having a drink with your friends, and people will be talking about the mill is going to go on strike, and I'm like, on strike? It's 2025. Why? Who the hell goes on strike? What if they just pack up and go to Vietnam? What's wrong? You need to open your eyes, dude. And then people look at me like, who the hell is this guy? Why is this guy talking? And I'm like, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and not say anything. So then I feel kind of weird, right? So yeah, people are like, oh, you live in Taiwan, you think blah 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 because you left the town, and I'm like, no, it's not that. I'm just, so it's also weird. Yeah.
Yes.
So actually, when I go
can
with
relate.
my friends, I don't really say anything about anything really. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. So what about some culture shock stories for you? Maybe going back to Brazil.
I always tell them
Anything?
about the bathrooms here.
Okay.
The
okay.
bathrooms.
Like the squat toilets.
Yes. Oh my
Those are
God.
bad.
Yes.
Oh, man. Those are so
You
bad.
said it, not me.
Yeah. No, it's tough. I remember the first time I was like out and I had to use the bathroom, and you go into a place and they just have that squatter
know.
toilet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to use it. And then there was one time where you have to.
Yeah.
And it's such a bad story, but it's like you have to strip all the way down because I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't want to go to the bathroom all over my clothes.
My
so I'm
dad.
there hanging all my clothes, and I'm like, this is so bad.
I know, yeah.
It's crazy.
And my dad had such a similar experience to you when he came.
You're stripping your clothes off just to go to the bathroom. It's so bad.
Yeah. And so for him it was also very miserable because
Yeah.
I think I didn't even tell him about it.
Yeah.
And then at some point he just really needed to go to the bathroom, and then he went to the bathroom and then he realized that the only option was the squat
That's
one.
the only option.
And then eventually he used it, but then he came back and he was so mad at me.
He's like, I had to take everything off, hanging my jeans on, hanging all the clothes. You're basically naked in the freaking toilet, and you're like, what am I doing?
How do I even use this?
Yeah, you're like, what do I do? And you're trying to hold
I
on.
know.
It's so bad.
It's funny. It is.
Now, I mean, I'm always kind of in my area, so now I think there's more toilets now, but in the beginning there was nothing, and I thought, wow, this is bad. It was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. And so now you're working. Life is good here.
I am.
So what's the plan for you, so far? So I mean, you just graduated,
I
right?
did.
A year ago, maybe less than that.
Less than that, actually, because I'm
Okay.
a spring semester student. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Honestly, I would be lying if I said that I have a plan.
Okay.
I do not.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
I do not have a plan, but
Yeah.
the exact reason why I don't have a plan is because I have come to the conclusion that I am somebody that changes a lot
Nice.
way too quickly, and I want to keep being that person that changes
Yeah.
a lot, as long as
Sure.
it is changes for good, of course.
Mhm.
And that many of the plans that I have made so far, things didn't actually go the way that I wanted.
Never do. They
But
never do. Yeah.
the good point of that is that a lot of times they didn't go the way that I wanted, but they ended up being better than I have ever expected.
Nice.
And one of the biggest examples of that in my life is me wanting to go to France and ending up in Taiwan.
Okay. Yeah.
And also me applying for various universities and not being able to get into particular universities, but getting into the university that I did. Or me
Okay.
applying for scholarships and not getting, but then ending up finding another very good opportunity somewhere else. And so my point is that normally when I make plans, they tend to be more short term, but I don't make long term plans anymore.
Okay.
Because I don't know about you, but really sometimes I have so many thoughts in my head, and I can
Yeah.
really trace back 1 week ago Letícia and right now Letícia, and how I changed already.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think a lot all the time, and I think that this is good. And so
think
this is
so,
why
sure.
I normally I tend to have goals, but they're not as long term.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. And I know that you've done a lot of TV stuff,
I did some, yes.
right?
I
Yeah,
did
it's
some.
been a few years.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't watch that. I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch that stuff very often because it's totally Taiwanese, right?
Chinese, yes.
I used to do some of that stuff long time
Really?
ago. I've done it maybe 15 or so years ago.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about that. About
How that
it's
happened,
the WTO thing,
Yeah.
because that's been going for 20 or 30 years. So I've done a little bit of that before.
Yes.
But you've done a lot more. So tell me about that.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. How
Yeah.
I got myself
How'd you get
into all
that
of that,
into it?
right?
Yeah.
And so I was doing a community service because I do like to do community service, and then
Okay.
I was teaching about Brazilian culture to high school students.
Okay.
And so I was in this kind of activity, and they also had foreigners from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the girls that were there, she was from Paraguay.
Okay.
And then I also had another friend that was from Honduras. And then
Okay.
this guy from Honduras, he knew that I could speak some Chinese.
Yeah.
And he also knew that this Paraguayan girl was going to the show. She was somebody that was already there.
Sure.
And so he basically connected us and said, hey, I think maybe if you're willing to recommend her to the show, I think that maybe it could be a good idea because she also speaks Chinese, and I
Yeah.
think that she might be interested.
Taiwanese people love to
Yeah.
see us speak Chinese.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And she was kind enough to do that, especially because she was actually leaving at that point.
Perfect.
When I met her, she was going to go to France.
I mean, yeah.
Everything
okay,
runs around France.
France.
Yeah,
okay,
and so
okay.
she was going to go to France as an exchange student, and they were looking for somebody to replace her.
Okay.
And then I was just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Okay.
And I just like showed up and
switch it up.
Yes,
okay.
and then my friend recommended me to her, and she agreed to recommend me to them. And so she connected us. She connected me with some of the producers. And so I started to talk to them. And in the beginning, I didn't think that it was going to go anywhere, being very honest.
Yeah.
Because that was right before Chinese New Year. And so I texted them and they never replied to me. And
That's
I said,
very
okay,
Taiwan,
I got ghosted by TV. That's fine. That's actually a quite fancy thing for you to say, right? Like a lot of people get ghosted by their crushes.
Sure.
I got ghosted by TV.
Ghosted,
so
ghosted. Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But
We've all been ghosted many
life
times.
moves on, right?
Yeah.
And then I forgot about it. Let it go. It's fine. It was not meant for me. You know, like I don't chase, I attract. So that's fine. Yeah. But then like after 2 months, they actually bounced it back and they said, well, actually it's because we were very busy, but we're interested in you. Like, do you want to, can you like take a call and then we can talk and blah, blah, blah. And then I took their call and we talked and they could hear my Chinese. And then after talking a bit, they invited me a first time to just like go and observe, you know, to just be there and see how it is and stuff.
Wow.
And the first time that I went, I think it went, I did way more than they were expecting because I was just supposed to go there and observe. I wasn't even supposed to say anything. But because I like talking, maybe you can tell that I like talking.
That's
I
good.
really
I love
enjoy
it
talking.
I'm going to be honest. I love when a guest loves to talk. It's really important because sometimes I'll get people here and I'll be like, so tell me about your, you know, how you got to Taiwan. Like, yeah, I just flew here. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like looking through my questions and I'm like done in 10 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is bad. Yeah. But that was more in the beginning because now I'm a little bit more careful when I choose.
It teaches you how to handle people.
Keep going.
Yeah.
So
And
they're
so
like, she likes talking. She speaks Chinese.
Yeah. And so
Perfect.
the very first time I already wanted to talk, and especially because I was not supposed to say anything because they wanted me to observe and to like get used to it because you know that it can be very intimidating to talk in front of a camera, especially knowing that you are on TV. Like how many millions of people are watching? I don't even know.
You don't know.
I never Googled that because I knew that it would impact the way that I felt.
But then it goes on YouTube forever too, right?
I know.
Yeah.
So but then because I really wanted to talk, I really wanted to share my thoughts. I just like, even though they skipped my part, I was like, wait, hold on, there's my part.
I'm here.
I'm supposed to say something.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and then I just ended up speaking up, and then they realized that not only I was comfortable with speaking in Chinese in front of a camera. Of course, I'm not like professional, but I was able to do it, to handle it, and I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked talking to people. I liked
it's important
sharing
to be confident,
my thoughts.
Yeah,
it's like I like to be heard, and especially I loved that I was able to represent my country.
Of course, that's huge.
Because as a Brazilian, I don't know how it is for you. Like,
what do Taiwanese know about Brazil? Like, do they know much about it?
I would say that a lot of people in the world, including Taiwanese, they know like the stereotypes about Brazil, right? And some are true, some are not true. Yes, but my point is that because media tends to be very sensationalist. A lot of times people want to sell the news, right? And normally the news that sell the most are the bad news, the ones that are sensationalist. And so a lot of times I would like hear only bad things about my country. I would get to know only like the bad news and the corruption and the violence and don't get me wrong, these things exist, but they don't sum up my nation as only that. You cannot do that, And so I wanted to.
So you're like an ambassador.
Have a voice. Exactly. I wanted my country to have a voice. And a lot of times we don't have a voice. And when we have a voice, I don't think that it is represented the way that it should be. As proper as it should be. And so when I had this chance, I just felt very honored and very lucky that I was able to be the representative of my country. And I think that a lot of times as well, we tend to see the examples of the people that are from a certain country as the summary of that country, right? And this is why it's so important for you to have good ambassadors of your country outside.
Super important, yes.
Because, like I have friends from certain countries that the person itself is a little bit creepy.
The dude's an asshole. I'm like, oh, I hate that country.
Exactly. Like people from country XXX are all like that. Because one person or two people that are like that, and so you just like summarize and everything.
It's bad.
And so for me, I wanted to show Brazil the way that I see it, and I wanted to portray it the way that I would want to watch it as like somebody that is watching the content.
I love that. I agree 100%. I mean, even with the restaurant, we've had the restaurant for so long, and sometimes you'll get somebody from a certain country, and they'll try to, like, these are adults, these are not kids, and they're not teenagers. They'll try to like sneak bottles of whiskeys and hide them under the table and like like pour them in there, and you're like,
oh my god,
I'm like, but these are like people older than me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys need ice, like, and then you'd be like, okay, do you guys want to pay the corkage fee? Because you're sitting here drinking all night from your own bottle, which is weird. And they're like, well, no, because the bottle was not full. It wasn't a new bottle. So just weird stuff like that. Or like some countries, I know like 5 or 6 people from this one country, and when they come, they complain about everything, and they're super stingy. So you're like, oh, so I get it 100%. Yeah. I'm not going to say the countries, but yeah,
of course,
definitely. Yeah.
Also because we don't want to say that a country is like that just because a person was like that, right?
I would never. Yeah.
Of course.
But I understand, like, another example was when people, a few of the things, people would say to me, Taiwanese people would say, oh, you're Mexican? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm Mexican, but I was born in Canada. They'd be like, oh, you have no accent. I'm like, well, because I was born in Canada, family is Mexican. And then you hear, like, from there it goes to, like, can get really weird. They would sometimes say, oh, you're very lucky. And I'd be like, why? Like, because you don't look Mexican. Like some weird things would come, and I'm just like, okay.
What's that supposed to mean?
I'm like, that's yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
And I'm just like, oh, awesome. Do you need another drink? No, cool. Yeah, I'll see you later. But yeah, there'd be some weird situations where, people would say, oh, you're Mexican. And I'd be like, yeah, and they'd be like, oh, El Chapo. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know him personally, but, and they're just like, oh, El Chapo. I'm like, yeah, he's. Yeah, so I get it. I totally get it. So yeah, so we, like, when I was coaching soccer here, I would always, try to be like an ambassador for Mexico, but also for Canada, for both, and try to, share like the best parts of the country, right?
It's just a pity that not everybody sees that way, right?
It's tough. It's so tough that, because people will be like, oh, El Chapo. Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any like stories? I know you've been going for years to the WTO thing, right? Anything funny? Any like behind the scenes sort of? Anything kind of pop up? You meet anybody cool? Anybody famous?
I met a lot of very cool people there.
Okay.
Yeah, like I would say that, well, first of all, I made a lot of good friends.
Yeah.
And I networked so much as well.
Okay.
But yeah, like in majority, I made a lot of good friends.
It's really important.
No, actually, we know the power of networking, right?
It's huge.
We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for networking, right?
That water, that water,
it was actually very fruitful.
Yeah.
But no, like I would say that I met a lot of very good friends, and many opportunities came to me exactly because I was going to WTO, and majority of these opportunities were media related.
Okay.
Like me myself, I think since I was a kid, I kind of wanted to one day do something media related, but I was never able to. I never saw like an entrance, like a way that I would be able to be inserted into this world, and then I just like got caught up in like other things that I was doing with my life, and so learning languages and going exchanges and studying and all of that. But I think like child Letícia at some point like kind of knew that she wanted to have that opportunity.
I love that.
And I think that for me it's so lovely that this came out of nowhere, like I wasn't necessarily chasing it, I wasn't looking for it, it just appeared. And especially after WTO, because people started to see me, I was able to find more people that are also within this world, and so I started to get invited to attend podcasts and to go to attend other people's YouTube channels, and to even going on other shows. And so it has been very nice, and I would say that I own all of that to the experience that I had in WTO. And I would say that, of course, it encouraged me to brush off on my public speaking skills and to try to portray myself as more confident. Like I had to learn about these things because I wanted to represent my country as good as I could. And so I would say that overall it encouraged me to become a better person.
I think doing podcasts and interviews and stuff like that, it really you really learn a lot, and I think that it improves your communication skills a lot. And like sometimes with the restaurant, I have to talk to a lot of people, and sometimes it's it's not a great conversation, but it's still easy to keep it flowing because it's like I've been been doing the restaurant for so long, been doing this for so long, and I think it's really cool. And I didn't really know you that well, and then until I seen you, I think you were on Lucas's channel first, right? And I was like, what the hell? I'm so jealous. I'm like, I should have had you on mine first. And then you went on the other podcast. I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, oh man, you got it. I didn't know that you were like, okay, let's talk. Let's do some videos. So yeah, so I'm super happy to have have it again.
I love this. Yes, I'm super happy that you invited me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It means a lot to me.
I've actually got some pictures that I grabbed from your Instagram. If that's cool. So I'm gonna pop them up there, and you tell me what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, that no signal thing is just bugging out. That's
no
nothing.
problem.
Bam. That's such a great picture.
That
I'm just
was
gonna
so
rapid fire
recent.
through some pictures. Yeah.
This is like 1 week ago.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. This is in Brazil. So on my 3rd business trip.
Okay.
Because in the current job that I'm doing, I get to go sometimes on business trips.
Okay.
And many of them are to Brazil because I am Brazilian and I can speak to the locals, right?
Beautiful,
and
yeah.
so this was in a gala event that I attended exactly 1 week and 3 days ago. Yes. And so that's why I'm wearing a dress. Yeah.
Beautiful. No, it looks great. Like
Thank
so
you.
dressed up. Yeah.
Thank you.
We got a comment
It
from
was super
Lucas.
fun.
We got Lucas. My interview with Letícia was the longest record of the year. I think, yeah, but thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
Oh.
Well, thank you, Lucas.
Thank you very much,
But
Lucas.
I'm going to let you know that I knew her first. So, yeah, there you
He
go.
actually did.
There you go. There you go. All right, next picture.
This is also from a business trip.
Okay.
This
Fancy evening gown stuff. Okay,
yeah, it's another
cool.
gala event, but this
Okay.
one was in Barcelona, Spain,
Okay.
and it was a gala. No, it was a dinner event that I went with some clients
Yeah.
in the Opera of Barcelona, I think,
Okay,
Opera of
okay,
Spain or
okay,
something.
okay.
Yeah, that I went. Yes,
Okay.
it was very nice.
Very cool. Bam. That's one of your TV
Yes,
show
this
things,
is
right?
one of the behind scenes of WTO Jamaihui.
Okay,
Yes, so
okay.
this is just pretty much what we would look like before we actually go on the show. And so right there, I have like some very nice friends, like people from all over the world, Australia, Japan, Indonesia, and St. Lucia.
Yeah.
And I was representing Brazil.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And I got a little clip from this that
Oh,
I was
yes.
just like,
this
what is
was
this? How come she
amazing.
didn't come to mine yet?
Yes, with my friend from South Africa.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, this was also another opportunity that I got from WTO. So he also
That's
has
awesome.
a podcast,
Beautiful.
right? And then
Yeah.
he got to interview me, and it was
That's awesome.
amazing. Yeah,
Beautiful.
you know, like probably you can tell, but I love when people give me freedom to talk.
That's great. No, it's good.
But, yeah.
It's actually like the dream of like a podcaster. I've had so many interviews where, not so many lately, but in the beginning where they were just like such dud interviews, or you're just like, oh my gosh. You're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this is a dud. While you're doing it, you're like, oh man. And it's pretty bad, but yeah, I'm more careful now than picking guests and stuff. We got a couple more.
Okay, yes, this is also from WTO with my friend from Japan.
Japanese,
So it's
okay.
one of the behind scenes right before we start recording.
Beautiful. Okay. And have you been doing some modeling? Is this modeling stuff? Or?
No, this is not modeling stuff. This was one of it was like an exhibition show that they had in
Okay.
Taipei where they had like very Instagrammable backgrounds.
Okay.
And so
Smart.
a
Good
lot of people would go there
Good marketing.
exactly to like take pictures, and then
Okay.
this was like one of the backgrounds that they had. Yes.
Beautiful. One more.
One more.
You
Yes.
got like some fancy outfit on.
Yes,
some
this
dancing gear.
was also this was also one of episode of WTO Jamaihui, and this day they asked me to like samba, and then
Samba.
and
De Janeiro,
I cannot
right?
samba.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
okay,
very
okay.
little, and so I did my best.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you go to Brazil, you're gonna find like a lot of people
Oh.
that actually do it professionally. You
Of
know, like in my
course.
case, it was really
Yeah.
more like for fun.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
That's so funny because people would assume like me as a Mexican, like, oh, you should know all the Latin dances and the salsa. I'm like, no, I was born in Canada actually, and they're just like, but you should still know it, and it's kind of crazy. So yeah, that's too funny, too funny. So tell me a little bit about media work versus like corporate work. I'm thinking you probably would lean towards rather doing the media stuff. You don't have a YouTube channel or anything yet?
Oh my
What's going
God,
on with
yeah.
that?
You're like the 7th person that is asking me
Well,
about
tell
that.
me about
One
it.
of
What's
them is
going on?
Lucas, actually.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I like both.
Okay.
I like business. I really
Yes.
you can tell because I met you in Me Taipei, right? And so I like business. I've always been passionate about business. Maybe that comes from the fact that my father is a businessman, and I've always been around that.
What
and
does your dad
so
do? Now I'm curious.
My dad had like very different kinds of businesses.
Beautiful.
But now he's also doing pharmaceutical stuff.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, but
nice.
he like was all over the place. Like he did like many businesses. Yes. And so I like that. I really like that. But I also like media stuff from the sense that right now it's so amazing how much we can learn by just listening to other people talking, right?
Oh man,
and before, I think that media was just so controlled by TV and just like whatever is just there, you know. But then nowadays you can really choose what is the content that you want to consume. I think before,
crazy,
like let's say that you just had like 4 channels on TV, like you only get to watch that. But then nowadays, because we have YouTube and because we have other sources of media, if I want to learn today about, I don't know, like how to become a more friendly person, how to be perceived as more friendly, I can do just that by just like opening YouTube. And so I think that media right now, it's such a powerful tool. And sometimes I keep thinking, God, I really want to use this.
You should.
I really want to use this, and I really want to like learn with other people and also teach other people if there is something that I can teach, of course.
Sure, of course.
And so sometimes I keep thinking about that, and yeah, you actually hit on like a crucial spot. I don't have a YouTube channel yet.
You should. That's crazy.
I keep telling myself that I should have a YouTube channel, and I just never do it.
I mean, even just Instagram live stuff with the phone.
I know. Yes, and you know, there might be a pattern there because, like I said, you're not the first person that tells me that. Like a lot of people tells me that. I like it. I like it. And you know, I think it's just so meaningful. And if one day I get into media, I don't want to do it for the numbers and for the money.
Sure.
I really don't. If it comes, then that's a blessing, and I would be so happy, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do it to pay my bills. I don't want to do it as you know, like as something like I'm just posting this video here because I want to get X amount of money. Like I want to post it because I want to feel that the content that I'm uploading is meaningful and is somehow changing people's lives, or at least making them a little bit better, even if it's just 1%.
I love that.
That would be so meaningful for me already.
Yeah.
And so lately, nowadays, it is something that has been bothering me a lot because I have this corporate job that I'm super grateful for and it allows me to travel. But at the same time, I keep thinking, what about media version of me? What about podcast version of me? What about TV show version of me? I'm not doing WTO anymore because I'm not allowed to because of my visa.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, I'm not allowed to, and so I'm kind of like losing touch with that version of me that wants to do media, and it's almost like within me I'm feeling that something is not right because I really want to do that. So, yes.
That's cool. Lucas has another comment here. Tell Letícia that I started a second YouTube channel since the last time she told me about she was going to start a channel.
My God.
Yeah. Lucas, come on, bro. But I think it's good. I think what you hit on was perfect because right now, like, there's all this crazy stuff going on all over the world, but I live in like my little bubble of the things that I like. Like I love like podcasts about business and how to make my business better.
Yes.
And I love podcasts about how to make my live stream better and my podcast better. And so it's like my business, how to make my live stream /YouTube/podcast better, and then like UFC, and that's all I watch. So that's the only thing I watch. So it's kind of crazy. People will ask me about hockey. They're like, "Oh, you're Canadian, you must know about hockey." I'm like, I know zero. I coached soccer my whole life. And because soccer here is usually at like 2 or 3 a.m., I stopped watching like 10 years ago, right? And so like I have this small bubble of things that I know about and that I really like. And if somebody hits on that, like, yeah, I can talk about it all day. But if someone asks me about, you know, hockey, I have no idea. So yeah, I get that. And
but you know, I don't think that there is something wrong with that. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm
because
so happy
first of all, you're happy. That's the most important thing. And second, because you know, like we all have limited time on this earth in general. And so do you really want to spend trying to like learn about things that you're not interested, you know? Like I do believe that it's important to have some kind of like general knowledge about things.
Yeah.
But if I don't like something, then of course I'm going to watch the things that I like, you know?
Exactly.
Like as long as I'm not watching things that are detrimental to other people or
Sure.
like negative, then why am I not allowed to do that? Then
yeah. Like for me, I don't really watch much TV. We will watch like Squid Game. I like the Squid Game, so I watched that. Season 2, I binged it in like a day. So like I'll watch that and then that's it. But I try not to watch too many like TV shows because I'll just binge it, right? And then I won't do anything else. So I'm just like, no, I'm not. I barely watch anything. And yeah, I think it's really a cool experience.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah, but trust me, I keep thinking about this a lot. I think about this a lot about like maybe like having one platform and
Lucas
stuff.
agrees. You should do it.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Yeah, it's complicated though, you know, because I just graduated from university and. Honestly, I don't think that I have the funds right now to do that.
Well,
but
you don't need too much. I would say grab your cell
you.
phone, take a walk, and do like some live stuff. You have an Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to follow Letícia, the Instagram's down below.
Thank you.
So if anyone want to check it out, follow her Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I don't want your food to get cold. Your food is ready. But do you have anything that you want to say, maybe before we call it? How are we on time? Hold on. I think we are about 51 minutes and time flies.
It really flies, yeah. We did a good job today.
Yeah,
really did a good job.
It's all you. I love it. We can do it again sometime. Yeah,
we
I'd love
should
it.
definitely do it again.
Some updates after you have your YouTube channel, right?
Oh my God.
You're gonna get it. It's gonna be good.
That gives me motivation.
It's gonna be good for you.
Of course.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips for people that maybe want to do what you're doing or something like that?
What am I doing?
I mean, you're in Asia. You live in Asia. You're a Brazilian girl who lives alone in Asia, right?
Yeah,
Didn't come here with family.
I know. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, don't devalue that. That's huge.
Honestly, as cringy as it can be, you really have to believe in yourself.
I agree.
Like you really have to believe that you are capable of doing things, and you know, like even when people around you tell you that you're not capable of doing things, that doesn't mean that you're not capable of doing it. You're the only person that actually knows your potential. And you're also the only one that knows your goals. How you're supposed to get from where you are right now and where you want to be. You're the only person that can change that. It all depends on you.
Yep.
And so we have to do our best every day to try to get there.
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting for the magic to happen. And when I say that, I don't mean to be like the person that like owns the truth and is like super aware of this, because I'm also not doing a lot of the things that I wish I could do, but I know that is a fact. It is true.
100%.
It's just that a lot of times we don't think about that, and especially we don't put it into practice. Consistency, it's something so important.
Yes, for sure.
Even if you don't see the results right away, that doesn't mean that they will not show up. It just means that they're on their way. And so it's going to take some time, but at some point they have to show up, because this is just the natural law of the universe.
I love it.
And so you have to believe in yourself. You have to keep going. You have to show up for yourself every day, even when you don't feel like it. Because by showing up for yourself every day, you tell yourself that you can do it. You tell yourself that you can keep going, and you prove it to yourself that all of your beliefs are all false. All of your limiting beliefs are all false, and you're capable of doing things. And so for all these people that look up to me, honestly, I have so much more to go. I want to reach way bigger, I don't know, like places, and I want to do so much more. Especially, I want to help so much more people if one day I have the opportunity.
Yeah.
But if there are people that already somehow look up to me, I'm just so grateful for all of you that that somehow see me as a good representative for Brazil.
Yes.
I don't know if I was perfect while I was representing Brazil, but I definitely did my best all the times that I was on camera, and that was just me, and I'm really proud of that. I you know, like when we work with media, YouTube, TV, and other media channels, a lot of people tend to build a character of their own in order to be accepted and in order to get more views.
Agreed.
And I told myself since day one, I don't want to be a character of Letícia. I want to be Letícia. Letícia is a person that it is that way. And you know, I'm not perfect, and it's okay for me to not be perfect, you know, like I don't have to be accepted by everybody. I do my best. Like the people that don't like me, that's fine, but I'm still being my best, and I'm gonna fight for me to be able to be my best, because I think this is what matters, like you showing up for yourself on the most intrinsic version of yourself.
Oh my gosh, how do we follow that? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Don't forget to follow Leticia's Instagram below. You get some amazing pictures down there. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate
My pleasure.
Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yes.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you everybody for watching Eddie's show. We feel only happiness, don't feel any sorrow. Welcome everybody to watch more on his contact. Eddie Live Podcast. Eddie Live Podcast.